What is happening? Have you heard all this craziness that is going on? Testing, vaccination proof. It's going to be impossible to go anywhere. I was reading about this new policy that Disney has for their cruises. It's supposed to be easier on families. Okay, so you can get a test in the mail. Yay! You can get one for your whole family. Yay! You do it 4 days before, 3 or 4 days before you go, and give it to UPS and they get it. Yay! $100 each. So, if you're a family of 4, that's 100, 200, 300, 400. Do you like how I moved that from the go? Anyways, that's $400 more. Have y'all looked at prices on Disney Cruise Line? Now, I love Disney Cruises. I went on 2. Cost a lot of money. We went years and years ago. And one day, maybe in the future, I'll do it again. I mean, it was Disney does it right. They were awesome. But they cost triple what you would pay on Carnival or any other cruise line. And yes, you get Disney with it, but you could maybe go with another cruise line, not have the characters, and do a whole lot more. I'm not saying I won't ever do that again because I loved it. I mean, everything was perfect. The customer service was perfect. But I'm paying $3,000 a person versus $1,000 a person. So what would you do, especially if you have a family of 4? So I'm getting one room, and we're all sleeping in the same room, of course. So we're not paying $3,000 per person, but we're looking at a nice chunk of change just for us 4 to go. And you're telling me that I have to get tested before we go. Okay, I'm okay with that. All the cruise lines are doing that. You have to get tested 3 days before you go and then show the results. It has to be official because, we got to pay the money to the man. But this thing that made it easier for Disney cruisers is another $100 per person. 100, 200, 300, 400. I'm already paying $5,000 just for the cruise, probably paying to fly down a plane to stay somewhere the night before. I'm paying. And then you're saying, oh, we can make this easier for $400 more a person. Now, I don't know if insurance would cover that, but my goodness, what are you doing to us all? Last year, when COVID was here in 2020, it seemed awful. Travel was less, places wouldn't let you in. We ended up going to Dollywood in December. The worst thing I thought that day was having to have your temperature taken. Nowadays, they don't take your temperature. They make you get tested, which is good on one hand, but on the other hand, there's such a 50-50 risk that even though you've been vaccinated, you may be asymptomatic, or you may not have been vaccinated and asymptomatic, and then you get there and you're the only one in the party who has it. Maybe you all have it and it doesn't show up till you're there. I mean, it just makes my anxieties go out the roof because I'm a planner. Plan. We're going to get this, we're going to get this, we're going to get this. And you're telling me now that I have to have all this done. And looking at, we had talked about going to Disney for just 1 or 2 days because our cruise, we canceled it because of all the testing involved that Disney may be requiring in the future. And it's a rumor, so don't go too far with this. Testing before you go in, maybe showing that you're vaccinated, maybe requiring masking all the time. Now, right now, you only have to wear a mask if you're inside. But Disney is, and I understand why they're doing this, but Disney is not the Disney it was 2 years ago. A lot of the restaurants aren't open yet. There's really 1 or 2 character breakfasts. And there's no character interactions where you're right there. There's no autographs. There's no anything like it was. I think maybe they might stamp a card and hand it to you, but that's not the same thing. So you're not having the characters that you can get close to and hug and love on. You're not having character breakfast hardly at all. There's no getting in early, really. There's no getting in late. There's none of the early morning hours or late morning. They may be doing a little bit with the people who stay on site, but trust me, that's so much money when you're traveling with a lot of people. And it's not worth that to get into quite a few rides. Now, FastPass is gone, but they're bringing out this Disney Genie. And looking at that briefly, it sort of works the same way, but it's supposed to be better, but for more money. There we go. You can get on sooner. I don't like that option. I liked it. You got 3, everybody got 3. You could sign up earlier if you were staying on site, but just paying more to get more, not a fan of that. I've seen other places do that. Universal does that. Other parks do that. I don't like that. It's great if it's just you. But if you've got a family of 4, that's $100. That's $100. And I don't know. It's just, I'd rather pay more money. Now, I'll pay to go in early. I'll pay to go in late. But I don't want to pay for something that gets me through line faster. It's just hard. And I was trying to tell someone about this, of all the changes that they have. Because if you're trying to make plans, because now, and this happened to us at Dollywood, you had to say the day you were going and log in that ticket for that day. And with Disney, you have to say when you're going, what the date is, and log in the ticket for that day. If it's a 3-day ticket, you have to use the ticket within 5 days. If it's a 1-day ticket, you have to say what day you're going. And that's sort of horrible too, and I'm sure they work with you, but what if you're not feeling good? What if you've got about diarrhea? What if one of the kids just threw up that night or is having a meltdown and you don't want to go that particular day? It locks you in, and that's harder. And if you're having to get tested and all this other stuff, and what if you go down, you get tested, we're going to go down, and we're not going to go to the middle of the week, maybe. You're going to go in, you're going to ask us to get tested. All of a sudden we know we have COVID when we didn't know we had COVID before, which I understand that, but now we're trapped. Can't get back on the plane, going to have to, it just goes on. It makes it really hard. And all we want is to travel. We want people to stay safe. I understand that. I'm vaccinated. I'm ready to get a booster. That's just me. I understand that. And if you choose not to, that's your right to. But it's hard that we're having to go through all this. And Florida, though, is fighting the government on a lot of things. And when Biden came out and said that all these workers of companies of 100 or more had to either get weekly tested or be vaccinated, Florida may balk against that and not require Disney in Orlando to do that, because Disney has over 100 employees. My husband's job, they're trying to make a decision on how they're going to handle that. It affects a lot of places, but again, just because the feds say it, just because the president says it, it doesn't always make a requirement. And Florida's the one who was balking and saying that you couldn't require vaccinations and all this stuff for their cruise ships. And the cruise ships were talking about going to different ports because they didn't want to do this. It just gets messier and messier. And the reason why we didn't do the cruise is because we didn't want to wear masks all the time. We didn't want to be tested constantly. Like my granddaughter, we didn't want her tested constantly. And if we're going to be in Orlando and we're going to have to get tested or wear a mask the whole time to go to Disney, that just takes the fun out of it, and the pictures and all that stuff. And okay, you don't have the characters. Yeah, that's okay too. I mean, it's the magic of the place, but the magic is going if you're making us get tested and all this stuff. But it's just a nightmare when you're trying to travel. You have to worry about the airlines. Now you got to worry about this. You got to worry about that. It's just constantly there's something going on, and it just makes you want to bulk down and hide at home again. And we're all tired of hiding at home. And I don't mind if you take my temperature before I go in. But this testing, and because testing's so easy and it's available everywhere, every place is going this route. And I'd almost rather them say testing for adults if they're not vaccinated, but not if they're vaccinated. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not into politics. I don't care. I just want to travel. I just want to go on my trip. I don't care what you do, but you need to make this easier for all of us that want to travel. Don't want to be locked down in our houses for the rest of our lives. Don't want to wear masks all the time. But all these variants are coming out, and it's just really destroying my traveling vibe. I'm traveling with people that are 70 and older. All we want to do is sit around and play cards. Just let us get there and play cards in a different place. We want to play some cards in a different place, not our house, just to say we've been somewhere else. I mean, we're devastated that we're not going on the cruise. We're devastated that, things are changing. We're only staying in Orlando because it's cheaper than staying in Tampa, which I'm not really sure I understand that. Maybe Tampa's right there at the beach, but Orlando has Disney and all the parks, and that may be why it's cheaper over there, but it was much cheaper to go over there and stay. But it looks like if this continues that we're not going to do anything but sit around and play cards if they even let us on the airplane. Wouldn't that be great? My husband says that's what will happen. We'll all have to get tested, and we'll get there, and all of us will be fine except one of us. And then what do we do then? It's just a logistics nightmare, and things aren't going to get any better with all these new variants. It's just hard to figure out how to travel, how to look at all these things, and there's a lot of pieces, and I'm one of those that I have to have it all laid out. Love these fingers. Here we do this, and we have a place to park reservation for the airport. We have the airline tickets. We've got the car lined up. We've got this, and this, and this, and there's nothing left to change. My mother-in-law went on a cruise once with with my husband's brother, and they hadn't planned on where they were staying when they got there, and they hadn't planned on where they were parking when they got there. And I'm thinking I would have been in a meltdown mode within 5 seconds of we don't have a place to stay yet. I gotta have it. I've got to know it's arranged. I've got to have it planned. I want everything lined up so that there's nothing, if you don't plan, you don't know. There was a friend of mine went on a cruise in Hawaii back before COVID, and she hadn't planned her excursions because, hey, there's always plenty of excursions and you can get something. There was nothing left. So planning is sometimes good, because when you go and you're left with whatever's left, it's not always a good one, or there may not be anything left and then you're stuck with nothing. So planning is always a good thing. And I love planning, and I love planning everything. This is definitely not a Disney trip that we're going on. We're going to Orlando to hang out because we're not cruising, and we might go visit Disney one day kind of deal. So I really want to plan a really, truly Disney trip, but this idea of the testing and vaccinations and all this stuff is so disheartening and depressing that you just don't know where to go. But we are going on vacation. If nothing else, we're going to get on the airplane and we're going to fly into Tampa, and we're going to get our rental, and we're going to go over to Orlando, and we're going to stay in our place, and we're going to swim. If nothing else, we're going to swim and play cards and eat, because we always got to eat. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening to me ramble. It's just so unsure. It's so hard to travel. It's so hard to do anything. It's so hard to get anything planned because you just don't know. And I'm a person who just needs to know. Anyways, this is Graylee Tales, and thank you for tuning in. Catch you on the flip side. Bye.